Hello, and a third or fourth hello. I wasn't keeping track. Happy. It's a Wednesday afternoon. These are almost always Wednesday afternoons. I don't know why I'm so confused with myself. Thank you for joining us here at another one of these little Into Games Discipline Deep Dive streams. If this is your first time attending one of these events, then welcome. Hi, nice to meet you. My name's Jonas. I'm the community and events lead for Into Games. And one of the sort of big things that we're doing here at Into Games at the moment is we're putting a really big initiative into sort of looking at what different entry-level jobs in the games industry are asking of their applicants, all the different skills and tools that you might need to kind of be a successful applicant, and also not just applicant, but a successful sort of worker in that job to actually do the work after you get the job. There's a whole process involved, and sort of looking at where we can help people shore up those knowledges and skills if they don't already have them. So sort of going through all the different disciplines. So we're looking at like art and animation and production and marketing and all these things. And today we're looking at audio in particular. So just a real quick thing is, if you haven't heard of it, where we kind of get this data from is last year Into Games did a bunch of different work looking at those entry-level positions. And then what we did was we made this little website called the Entry-Level Games Skills Hub, Entry-Level Skills Hub, which, by the way, the URL is entrylevel.games. If you go to that website, it tells you a lot about all the different junior and entry-level roles in the games industry. And when you go into each of those roles, it will go on to tell you a little bit more about what the expectations are for those roles, what the different kind of tools and skills that people are expected to have at those. And then we've gone into each of these roles, and we've sort of identified that we can probably do a talk on any of those skills or knowledges. We can probably find someone who knows a little bit more about that and could join us maybe here on the YouTube channel and actually kind of share that knowledge with people. So today we're going to do just that. But as usual, I am never the person that teaches you these things, because what do I know? But I'll tell you who does know. It's our guest for today. It's Eli Forster, who I'm bringing up on stage now. Hello, Eli. Thanks for joining us. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
No worries. Are you somewhere where the heat is sweltering? Has it cooled down for you? The UK's been having a bit of a splotchy heat wave at the moment. Are you safe? Are you cool? Do you have a glass of water? Do you have everything you need?
Yeah, I'm good. It's pretty cool here today, fortunately. And I got this massive bottle.
Brilliant stuff. I've got the same here from Kojima-san himself. Thank you, Kojima-san, for hand delivering this bottle via several different services and websites and production manufacturers, so that I may eventually hold this bottle. I'm sure you personally will one day hear my heartfelt gratitude after he's done calling 30 Hollywood actors and Olympic winners. But anyways, let's not josh about what Kojima-san's up to at the moment. Let's talk a little bit about this event and audio and you, Eli. So first of all, Eli, you're not just a random person that we've grabbed from off the streets. You, as it says on the screen, you're a freelance audio designer. So just a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What does that mean to be a freelance audio designer? And what are you going to tell us about a little bit later?
So I'm a freelance audio designer, obviously, and I've been in the industry for about 2 years now. I've worked on mainly indie games. I was very briefly a junior audio designer for Surgeon Studios, working on their first game, Tales of Kenzera, Zau, which came out in April. So I've got a bit of studio experience as well. Being an audio designer can entail like a lot of different things. And today I'm hoping to share with you guys how to get going for like not a lot of money, because audio stuff can be very, very expensive, especially if you're looking at all of the shiny new plugins and the really nice fancy gear. Like, you don't need a massive studio in order to be a sound designer. So that's what I'm going to be talking about.
Exciting stuff. Well, what I'll do is, Eli, if you want to get your slides back on the little digital Dahuba Lily, I'm just making noises today, and I guess that's on brand for the talk, right? You know, I'm just coming up with my own noises. Look at me, sound designing, but it's all complete nonsense, and I apologize for the confusion, everyone. Right, I'm gonna bring your slides onto the screen now. There we go, and at this point, Eli, I don't really have much more to bring to the conversation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you with your slides and with the audience, and I'm going to let you present. Audiences, if you have any questions, please do put them into the YouTube chat as we go. Just be aware that we'll do like a little, assuming we have time, we'll do like a cheeky little Q&A session just towards the end. Okay, so do pop your questions in chat, and I will get to them in good time. Thank you for your patience, and Eli, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay, so welcome to Sound Design on a Budget. I want to preface this talk with the fact that it is my first talk, so if it's a bit rough around the edges, please bear with me. Yeah, so as I said, I'm like 2 years into the industry, and I know how hard it is to sort of get going, how expensive audio equipment can be, and it's sort of like aimed at anybody, one, looking to save money or make the most out of their what's available to them, you know, without breaking the bank. And basically, I'm just sharing all of the stuff that has helped me in my own journey, and in the hope that it also helps you. Yeah, so first off, we're going to be talking about hardware. So what do you need to get started? Basically, not a lot. You can get quite far with just a computer and a set of headphones that you trust, that you know how they sound and how to get good things out of them. Yeah, and a webcam is sort of useful if you're like interfacing with clients, like you want them to see you and be able to talk to them if you don't have a fancy microphone, which you also don't super need. But having an audio interface and a microphone is like definitely useful, don't get me wrong, but it's not necessary. Like with quick deadlines and turnarounds, I personally find that there's like little time for recording my own stuff, and I depend quite heavily on sound libraries or synths for my designs. So yeah. So if we're going back to like basics, when you're trying to decide between Mac versus PC, when a lot of the audio industry is Mac based, it doesn't matter ultimately, especially if you're freelancing, which a lot of people start out doing. And if you're throwing assets over the wall where you're just making the sounds and doing nothing else, it also doesn't matter. If you're in-house, they tend to use PC. If you're lucky, they'll give you a PC, which is always nice. If you're working remotely, or obviously you'll have a PC at the office or something. If you're working in-house, but if you're working remotely for a studio, you might have to provide your own equipment. For me personally, working for iGame Audio and Surgeon, it definitely benefited me personally having a PC, because I do a lot of work in engine, and for Surgeon, it was actually a requirement to have a PC because I was an audio designer doing working in Unreal Engine 4 using blueprints and stuff. And it just helps mitigate any compatibility issues that you might have if one person's using Mac and one person's using PC. It's also really useful for testing out PC builds, because otherwise you're on a Mac and maybe you're not working on a game that is building for Mac. So how do you test things? It's just like a useful thing to have. I thought I would share the base specs that they wanted me to have for working at Surgeon. So basically a half decent CPU and 16 gigs of RAM were like what you need to sort of like run a heavy Reaper session or heavy sound design session anyways. So I was quite lucky in that I already had that. So to prove that you don't need a lot to get started, this is sort of my original computer / setup in general. I had a really old Ryzen 5, only 16 gigs of RAM, which I still only had when working for Surgeon. I only upgraded to 32 like this year, and I was like pushing it, but it was okay. And a really terrible graphics card. I only had one monitor, my M50Xs, which I still have. I got my first pair of M50Xs when I was in college in 2016, and they only died last year. So they're very, very durable. A lot of people in the same price range also like Bear Dynamics, like the 990 Pros or the 770s, which are the closed back version of the 990s. But I like the M50Xs because you've got a detachable cable, which is always the first thing to die in headphones. So I like those. An old 720p webcam. I went really overboard in college with my audio interface, which I did not need. I've since downgraded because the Track 16 had like MIDI in and out, 2 XLR ins, 2 insert ins, 2 DI ins, a breakout cable to fit all that, plus like an ADAT in and out for like an extra expansion. Back when I thought I was going to be recording bands and stuff, but you don't need it. Definitely cheaper options out there. My first microphone was like the AT Audio-Technica 4033A, which again I could have got like cheaper microphone, but the college had that mic and I really liked how it sounded, so I bought it. And then my field recorder was the teeny tiny like pocket Zoom H1N. And I want to point out as well that I built my own computer. Like I sold my MacBook for £600, my old MacBook Pro, which was 6 years old, and I built my computer for that amount of money. So it's not insanely expensive to get a PC if that's the way you're leaning. Yeah, my current setup, so I've like upgraded over the years. So I've got a much, it's still like mid-range, I would say, the PC. But it's nicer. It runs things a lot smoother. I'm not like maxing out my RAM or anything anymore. I got dual monitors now because it's like quite nice to have like Reaper on one side, Wise on the other, or Unreal on one side, Wise on the other, or Unity and Fmod. For instance, I got a bunch more microphones because I wanted to try out field recording, which isn't a necessity, like I said. Like I feel like because people tend to rely so much on sound libraries that it's something that you should only invest in if you want to go out and record your own, like build your own personal library, or you're interested in field recording as like a side hobby or a side hustle or something, but it's not like core to being a sound designer. I don't think it is definitely useful. Like if there's nothing that you can find in any of your libraries and you're looking for a specific sound that you can record, it's very handy to have that set up, but you don't need an insane amount of mics to do that. You know, sometimes you can even use your phone. Like it's not too deep. I bought a Zoom H5 as well, so I could record things like with my shotgun mic outside and stuff. And I bought a Native Instruments A49 like keyboard that I don't use. I'm really bad for that. But I wanted to point out that not all of this is like new equipment. I did not buy it brand new. I have saved a lot of money by buying a lot of things secondhand. Mostly off of eBay. You can find some stuff on like Facebook Marketplace for like audio equipment and stuff. Sometimes in like certain Slacks and things, people will be selling audio gear. You can pick things up for like relatively cheap. I've included like the price I paid for things versus like the RRP. Like at the time, I think some of this stuff, because it's old, you know, is appreciated in value now. But at the time, this is sort of the savings that I was looking at, which is a total of £500, which is quite a lot, I think, especially for something that you know, I don't use every day. I actually want to go back and point out that these like JRF microphones are like, I think his name is Jez Riley French, who like makes all of these by hand. They're really cheap. Like if you want a good hydrophone, contact mic, and EMF mic, he's the guy to buy them from, because I think the hydrophone was like £60, the contact mic was like 50, the ERF was like 20. Like he does really good quality stuff for a really affordable price point, because some of the hydrophones and things, they can be very expensive. But yeah, and also I downgraded. So my audio interface now is the Audio ID4, which is one mic in, one DI in, headphone out, speaker out, and that's it. My original so my original Motu Track 16, I think I bought for like £400. Ridiculous money. I was very dumb. I was like 17. The Audio ID4 is like £100. You can get them even cheaper if you go secondhand, like £80, £90. You can even get something like a Focusrite Scarlett, like 202 or a Solo or something, around the same price point as well. So it's really affordable. The NT1A as well is something that I would recommend. Like, I got that for free off a friend. I was very lucky because he was giving up music. He was like, "Do you want this?" And you can't say no. But like, that's a very cheap microphone to buy. That's decent. That will get you going. All right. So now we're on to digital audio workstations. And the age-old question: what DAW is right for you? Like I was saying with like OSs and stuff, operating systems and things, work with what you already have, or what you like to use. Because ultimately, if you're starting out, like it saves you money to just use something that you've bought for school, or you like to use in uni or something, and you've got the student discount. And if you're freelancing, like, it doesn't really matter what DAW you use, because half the time you're just like handing off assets. So it only matters to you what you're using and the software that you prefer. I would say as well, like, if you're one person audio team, even if you're doing all of the integration and things like that, implementation and stuff, it also doesn't matter, because it's just for you. I will say that if you're working in a team, it is useful to use the same DAW in order to like open each other's sessions. Like, I had some stuff when I was working for Surgeon Studios where we had to like swap tasks, or I had to take someone else's tasks over, and then it's easy to just like take, because you're already using Reaper, just take his session and pick up from where he left off. So that's really useful. And yeah, I would say that Reaper on the whole is industry standard, but I have seen people asking for like Pro Tools, Ableton, Logic. But if you learn one DAW, you sort of know them all, because they all work in a similar way. You just have to spend the time to find out how this DAW does this instead of how this DAW does this. Maybe it's like an awkward new shortcut, or maybe it's named something slightly different, like instead of trim, it's split. They like to be finicky like that. There's no standard, but in the end, I think it's all pretty interchangeable. Yeah, so in the spirit of like sound design on a budget, I thought I'd include a lot of the prices for the software that I've laid out. With Reaper, I've also included like the free trials and stuff that you can get, and a lot of them are without limit. So you can use the piece of software unhindered for X amount of days, and then decide whether you want to buy it or not. So with Reaper, it is super cheap, like $60, which you can use as long as you're, I think it's for personal use, if you earn less than $20,000 per year, or if you're educational or non-profit organization, you can get the discounted license. And anything above like $20,000 that you earn commercially, is you have to pay for the commercial license, which is fair. I think it's very reasonably priced. They don't need a student discount or anything. There's a lot that I like about Reaper. I'm very biased, and I will go into that bias in the next slides. Logic Pro, I used to use that in college. It was my go-to for a very long time. And yeah, that's a good point. Hi, Lewis. That's a good point from Ulysses. Sometimes when they buy you an audio interface, they'll give you a DAW and a few extra plugins as part of a software bonus. They do that. Keep an eye out. Yeah, I used to use Logic for a long time. I really like it. It's great for music production. and it's got great stock plugins and stuff. £200, when back in my day, it was £150. So a little bit of a price hike, maybe in line with inflation. I don't think so though. But yeah, and as part of the Pro Apps bundle, also for £200, you can get Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro, and a couple of other like Apple only apps. Logic is Apple only as well, so if you've got a Mac only, you can use it. Pro Tools Studio. Pro Tools I'm very biased against. Personally, I haven't had the best of experiences with Pro Tools, especially because they introduced a subscription model, which I'm not a fan of. Like, if you're just starting out, especially if you're like just learning, or you're really early on in like finding clients and knowing what to charge, and you don't earn a lot of money for what you're doing, then you're increasing your overhead per month as like what it costs you to just do your job if you're paying this like year in, year out. Don't get me wrong, it is industry standard in a lot of places in the audio industry, post-production mainly. So I have seen some job descriptions in the audio industry, like for cinematics specifically, where they do ask for Pro Tools experience. And if you like it, use it. Definitely would not tell you not to do that. But yeah, it's £259 per year if you're like a regular person. £89 per year if you're a student. And if you want to do like a free trial, they give you what's called Pro Tools Intro, where they limit the amount of tracks and effects they give you, I think. But it does give you a very good idea of what Pro Tools can offer you. Ableton, definitely on the more expensive side. But I will say that what you get for the price of Ableton Suite, for instance, is almost worth it. Like, you have so many plugins in there that they give you as standard that you will never ever have to buy a plugin again unless you really want it, you know. There's a lot of bonuses to using Ableton. Workflow and stuff is really great, obviously, for like DJing and things. The only downside I would say is that it doesn't really have like the batch rendering capability that Reaper has, which is super useful when you're bouncing out like loads and loads of assets for something. It does come with a 50% student discount. If you've got it, use it. I think I would. If I had a student discount, I'd probably buy it. But it's great for like music production and things like that as well. Nuendo. I don't know a lot about Nuendo. Personally, I've heard that it's like extremely powerful. They sort of market themselves this all-in-one DAW that can do like post-production, game audio, dialogue, music. You know, it's supposed to be like the massive package, which is why it costs so much. Again, hefty student discount, 60-day free trial. I know that they've sort of added some game audio specific functionality, like you press a button and all of your stuff goes straight from Nuendo to Wise, for instance, or they've tried to give you built-in functionality where you can make variations really easily, which are all things that you can do in Reaper with extra scripts, which I will go into. And thus begins my Reaper bias. I ripped out my headphones. Okay, so some of the reasons that I like Reaper is that it's super stable, super lightweight. It is industry standard in most game studios. Like, a lot of people use it. The reason I say that it's stable as well is that I used Pro Tools for 4 years in university and it crashed every time without fail. Every single day. I don't know whether it was something wrong with the way I was using it, the way the university had set it up, or just Pro Tools in general, but I've not had much luck with it. But with Reaper, I can count on one hand the amount of times that it has crashed on me in the last 3 years alone. So super stable, lightweight, like it doesn't take too long to load anything. You're not waiting like 10 years for it to load all your plugins and things. Yeah, so it's highly customizable in terms of like layouts and themes. Like, you could reskin Reaper to look and work like Logic or Pro Tools if you really wanted to, including down to like the the custom shortcuts and things like that. The actions list is really useful because you open up Reaper, you open up the actions list, and you get an incredible amount of stuff where you can just assign hotkeys and any sort of functionality from like mouse modifiers, track automation, and custom script shortcuts as well. Super, super useful. I feel like batch rendering as well. One of the big bonuses when working with Reaper is how easy it is to just bounce out like 14 variations in one go. Even more than that if you've got like loads of stuff in a session, like 100 variations or whatever. I've never tried to bounce out that many, but I'm pretty confident you could do it. And you can do that in a load of ways. So you can use like, you can bounce individual track items, you can bounce regions using the region render matrix, you can bounce things using NVK workflow, which is a script that sort of like adds on to the built-in render functionality within Reaper. Render blocks is like a similar thing. Yeah, super easy, get everything out, saves loads and loads of time. The Media Explorer, I wanted to highlight this because obviously we work a lot with sound libraries, and the built-in Media Explorer sort of negates the need for a third-party library manager like SoundMiner or Soundly or something, and you can like do everything that a normal library manager would, like browse things, audition things, change pitch and playback rate before importing them into your project. So like if you don't want to subscribe to like a third-party thing and you have all of your library sort of like sitting in a folder in some sort of hierarchy in your computer, you can just use the Media Explorer. Works well, like it. I don't use it too much. I used to, but then I moved over to Soundly, which isn't at the bias for mine. The track manager, I think this is a feature that a lot of DAWs have, but I bring it up because there are also scripts that sort of like add on to the track manager, but you can basically use it to like rename tracks, hide tracks, navigate to tracks, collapse folders, and things like that. All just like from one panel. So you could like put it up in the top left of your session, click things, and you'll just like go there, right? Super easy, makes everything like really efficient to navigate in sessions and stuff. So another reason that people really like Reaper is that, again, highly customizable, but what are Reaper scripts? So they're like ways to add extra functionality to mainly help with workflow and efficiency. And I've put in a couple that I personally like, that are very popular, that people use. So you've got the global sampler, which is free. This can be put on like any track, I think, but people like to put it on the master, and it records a certain amount of audio. I think you can adjust how much, but typically it's like 60 seconds of audio, and then like the last 60 seconds that gone through, and then you like drag and drop it into your session. So, which is especially useful if you're doing like source material sessions where you're experimenting with parameters and effects and you're trying to find something that's super cool sounding. You can use that, have that running in the background, make loads of cool stuff, just keep dragging and dropping, so you don't have to like set up a separate track to record everything and then make sure that you've got it and keep going back to recording things. You know, it's long. The sampler makes that easy. You've got LKC Variator. I think a lot of LKC stuff, they do more than this, by the way. I would recommend them. Everything that they make is free to an extent, but he normally limits the software in some way. So with Variator, it sort of creates random variations of items by like, say you've got like a block of items, you adjust the time length, position, the pitch and the playback rate and stuff to get different sounding variations out of like the one that you've made. I think he limits it in some way. No, the Variator one is completely free, but render blocks is limited, and render blocks is where you can put package layers of stuff into blocks, like group them together and then move them around. You can rename them all and then they can be rendered out really easily, like with like the click of a button. You've got loads of region render blocks. You select them all, press a button, and they're bounced out. I think you get a free version, but you can only bounce out like 10 blocks at a time, which honestly is more often than not all you need. But I definitely advocate paying money to anybody who, one, whose work that you've enjoyed, that you've really found useful. Two, do that if you can afford it. Obviously, the point is, of this talk is, if you can't afford it, there are ways to still do the work effectively and affordably to get you into a position where you can one day sort of like pay back in some way. LKC Grimsync is a script that connects Reaper to Wise, which sort of like cuts out the render and import steps of using middleware. So like normally you would have a load of assets, bounce those out, import them into Wise, check them all, blah, blah, blah. With Grimsync, it sort of cuts that out. I haven't used it personally. I can see it being useful, but I'm not sure how useful. Now onto NKV Tools. He is the person who makes this is like definitely one of the more popular script makers, especially because a lot of his stuff is like targeted to people who work in game audio. Like the MVK Looper, I use that daily. It is easily one of the best things I've ever bought. It is only $29. It can go on sale. I think I picked up my copy for $15, and it saves you so much time. It just seamlessly creates like a loop out of like a designated time selection and item selection. And you can make like one long loop or loads of little loops, and they all loop seamlessly. Definitely saves so much time, especially if you're doing ambience or anything sort of like that needs like an aim loop or whatever. Definitely recommend that. Audio Doppler, sort of auto Doppler, sort of does what it says on the tin. Like it enables you, well, it doesn't like it helps you create Doppler sound effects, right? But the way it does it is quite interesting because it enables you to either modulate the auto Doppler VST that it comes with by default, like a Doppler VST, but it can also modulate third-party Doppler plugins. So if you've got the very expensive Tonstrom Whoosh, or if you've got something a bit more affordable like Waves Doppler, it basically automates those parameters in order to give you like a cool Doppler effect. Very cool. NVK Search is auto Doppler is $49, by the way, so it's still like quite affordable, quite useful, especially if you're doing like car pass-bys or gun flyby, bullet flybys, or spaceship stuff. It's like, yeah, it's super useful. NVK Search is free. It's like a really powerful search tool that you can basically search for anything within Reaper. So you've got you can search for like VSTs, action items from your action list, projects, tracks, regions, like any of that. You can just type it in and it'll take you there. So super useful, saves a lot of time. I wanted to highlight NVK Workflow as well. It's a bit on the expensive side. It is $149. So it might not be something that you want to buy starting out, but it's specifically targeted to game audio sound designers, and to speed up like overall workflow, and include scripts that makes editing source material and creating variations like super quick and easy. Includes really flexible and powerful rendering scripts as well to make like even easier for you. So if you're like getting to the point where you've got loads of clients or you're on a really tight deadline and you need something to like speed you up, NVK Workflow can do that for you. But it's sort of about not going out and buying everything that you think is useful, like going out and buying the things that are definitely useful to you right now, I think is the way to sort of like build on things naturally and easily. So overall, Reaper has like a really great community. I think it can be really overwhelming at first because it's so open to customization. Like you open Reaper and you're like, oh, what am I doing? but it has a great community behind it with like loads of these people making really cool scripts. A lot of them are free. Lots of people make loads of tutorials as well for tips and tricks and like faster workflows, or all of this functionality that they've like hidden somewhere in there that somebody's found, and they're like, oh my god, this is amazing. I'd say if you're really interested in learning Reaper, definitely check out Akash Thakar's series called Reaper for Game Audio, which helped me get started. I think it's a really good starting place for like sort of getting to grips with how everything works. BSTs. So basically, once you've got your door all sorted, you've got your computer, you've got your door, now what? You can get very, very far with free and affordable plugins. I've used all of the stuff I've listed here at like one point or another, and still use a lot of them today. I only really started buying more expensive plugins very recently to just fill gaps that I've noticed that I had in my collection. Like I bought RBass because I needed like a nice sort of like bass booster, or I just bought stuff because I decided that it was time for a nice upgrade. So some of the stuff I'll be looking at kind of briefly is stock plugins, because they're nice and easy to use. They're right there. Kilohertz, which are free. They do like a bundle. Multi production free, and then a couple other stuff, a couple other things. Okay. I'm conscious of time now. I think I'm like halfway through. So yeah, you can go really far with stock plugins. Depending on the door, there may not even be any need for third-party plugins, like I mentioned with Ableton. Every door sort of comes with their own selection. Some are extremely powerful and versatile, and like Ableton, Logic, Pro Tools, Nuendo as well, they all have very solid stock plugin libraries. This is definitely one of Reaper's like weak areas. Like their stock plugins are good, like they'll get you through, but they are not nice to look at. I'm sorry, they're not. Like this is the reverb that comes with Reaper. I don't know where to begin, but they do their job. I will say, like, yeah, they're just not user friendly. But I do still use some stock Reaper plugins in my day-to-day work. Like I still use the built-in EQ. I still use the pitch shifter and stuff. Like some of it is still good, but that's why I'm including the VSTs and stuff, is like so you can use Reaper for all of its coolness and then expand with some nice looking stuff like Kilohertz. So Kilohertz are an incredible plugin manufacturer. They made some very popular tools, including Phase Plant and Disperser. Disperser was like everywhere for ages. You could hear it on everything. But they also do a free Kilohertz Essentials pack, which gives you 33 free plugins. So all of these, which makes up for a lot of Reaper stock plugin user experience. Like I still use a lot of this today. I used their reverb for a long time. The delay, the chorus, pitch shifter, frequency shifter is really good. I really like it. Yeah, so they're not just cheap, they're really good to use as well. Murder production as well. Excuse this very terrible screenshot. There wasn't a good way to like get all of the things that they give you for free on the screen. But yeah, this free effects bundle is another one that's tremendously helpful. I regularly use like the compressor. The convolution reverb is quite cool. And that's for free. Crazy. Saturator, tremolo, flanger and stuff. I use all of those. You can, this is free, the 37 free plugins. You can pay £42 to upgrade, and I think they take away all the ads and you can resize the windows and you get a couple of extra bits, but it's not necessary. But definitely nice if you want to support the company, if you've gotten a lot of use out of them on the whole. Yeah, I also like Mulder for like the Ambassador, which is a good alternative to RBass if you don't want to support waves. That's up to you. But yeah, it's £68, which I think is more expensive than RBass, Renaissance bass, but maybe worth it. I don't know. So Valhalla as well, they're known for making really incredible reverb plugins. They offer 3 plugins for free, including Supermassive, Frequency Echo, Space Modulator, and all the other plugins are $50 each, which is really affordable. So you can go buy Valhalla Shimmer and it won't bankrupt you You know, I definitely recommend them if you're looking for, like, if you're not happy with the kilohertz reverb, or if you're not happy with the convolution reverb, which got me quite far, you can pay for like Valhalla, Shimmer, or just use Supermassive, which is also a good reverb. Isotope. Now, Isotope don't offer like a lot of free stuff. They have a few free things at the moment, like Ozone 11 EQ, Trashlight, Vocal Doubler. But I'm bringing up our Isotope because it is an industry standard for cleaning up audio, like RX and stuff. So if you're working with dialogue specifically, or you're cleaning up your own field recordings, it's a very useful tool in your tool belt. So I would recommend picking up RX Elements to start off with, because it's just a good denoiser and declick. I use those quite a lot, and it's £95 for, I think, like 4 or 5 plugins. But that goes on sale like a lot. So I think I picked up my copy for something like £30, maybe 25. It goes down quite a bit. I still only use RX Elements. I'm not upgraded yet. I do think it's sort of like, again, only worth upgrading if you're doing a lot of like vocal stuff or field recording. Yeah, so they regularly go on sale. Right now, you can pick up the new Trash for £49, which is a distortion plugin. Go get it. You don't need it. You don't need it. Kilohertz also do a free distortion. Sound Toys, they're famous for their plugins such as like Crystallizer, Filter Freak, Decapitator, Alter Boy. They have like a big bundle, yeah, which is normally $499. They do an academic discount, which is normally $249, but right now it is $99, which is worth it. I would say it's worth it. If you can afford it, if you need it, maybe buy it, maybe try all the free stuff and see if you still want it. But it is on sale. Yeah, they regularly put their individual plugins and their normal bundle on sale. If you don't have an academic discount, if you're not a student or anything, you can still get it for a good amount of money. I think normally they do a 50% discount on their bundle, and some of their plugins can go for really, really cheap. Like I picked up Crystallizer, which normally goes for like $149 for about £25. And also, if you sign up to their newsletter, sometimes they give you a free little plugin, like one of the, like, I think I got Little Radiator for free last Christmas or something, which is also really nice. Okay, I wanted to talk about Vital, which is a free spectral warping wavetable synthesizer. It is a great, great, great alternative to Serum, or if you just want to start out with a synth, learning a synth in general, I feel like Vital is a really good pick. It's free. You can upgrade if you want it. This is all the stuff that it offers if you upgrade. You can follow Serum tutorials to create similar patches. So because they're so similar in functionality, like I feel like Vital is definitely inspired by Serum, you know. And Negativist on YouTube does great, great, great Vital tutorials. Would definitely recommend him. I wanted to bring up Splice because it's a really good way to buy expensive plugins at an affordable rate. So they're like a sound library. You get samples and loops off of there. It's mainly music focused, but they do a scheme which is rent to own. So you pay X amount per month. Say if you're buying Phase Plant or something, it's like $7.99 per month, and at the end of like a certain period of time, you will own that and you will stop paying for it. So it's not a permanent subscription. It's not a big upfront fee, like £100 and something or whatever. You can just like, yeah, rent to own, and it is a good way of buying like things like Serum, Phase Plant, Ozone 11 Advanced, Portal, or Vocal Synth 2 at a nice rate. I am a big fan of keeping like subscriptions down as much as possible, but if it's something that you feel like you need or you want but you can't afford it outright, Splice is the place to go. Sound libraries. sound libraries are the building blocks of most sound design. A lot of people will tell you that any sort of good sound all starts with great source material. And to be honest, I've sort of found that to be true as well. There's a reason like all of the big top sound libraries can charge as much as they want. And my lecturer used to say like you can't polish a turd, which is true. Like if it sounds bad at the source, it'll sound bad at the end. But there are affordable ways to build up your own sound libraries without having to pay the £2,500 it costs for like to buy the full Boom 1 library, for instance. And some of these ways are like recording your own sounds, which is obviously super time consuming, and not a lot of people enjoy it. I mean, some people don't enjoy it, a lot of people do. So if that's something you're interested in, go do it. Soundly is something that I will recommend. And I'll go into that in the next slide. Sonos GDC packs, they release gigabytes and gigabytes of stuff every year. You can go back and download all the past iterations of these packs. They got some really good stuff in there. Sound Effects Swap is a really good example of crowdsourcing libraries, and crowdsourcing libraries are a great way to build up your sound design library without spending any money, because it's all a community crowdsourced collaboration, and it is sort of like a mixed bag of what you get in these things. Like some stuff is good, some stuff is bad, but it's free. And so you contribute, loads of other people contribute, and then at the end of it you get a load of sounds. And Sound Effects Swap I bring up because it's relatively new, but they do it every month. And it's gotten a lot of good traction. I feel like it's definitely worth participating in things like that when they come up. Humble Bundle, I'm not sure what's happening with that, to be honest, because I know some bad stuff happened at Humble Games recently with the layoffs and things. But in the past, I've gotten a lot of good libraries off of like the Humble Bundle discount sale thing that I still use now. A Sound Effect is a great place. If you're in a project and you don't have a particular sound and you feel like you need to buy something and you can't record it, A Sound Effect is a great way to go and find like a good mid-range or reasonably priced sound effects library for a good amount of money. Like there have been a few times recently where I've been on a project and I'm missing like some rock sounds or electricity or something, and I just like run to A Sound Effect and see what they have, because they've got like sales all year round basically. Like a lot of stuff is on offer a lot of the time, and if you pick your time right, you can walk away with a lot of good stuff for very little. So I briefly wanted to talk about Soundly because I use it. I feel like it's a great way if you want to just hit the ground running, because crowdsourcing takes time because you're waiting every month for these things to come in. So if you want to just like hit the ground running with a good library, then Soundly is the way to do it. I think it is a subscription service. There is like a free version, but I'll get to the pricing in a minute. But it's a cloud-based sound library with regular content recorded, processed, and released by the Soundly team. You get a certain amount of cloud storage, but you can connect to Google Drive or Dropbox or something, with any sort of like standard library manager. You can also adjust like playback rate, pitch, and the channels and things. With one click, it goes straight to Reaper, and it's a good way to organize your own stuff. So not only have you got all of this stuff that Soundly provide you for your subscription fee, but you can also use it to organize all of your own libraries that you've picked up from crowdsourcing or that you bought here or there. It's all in one place, so you can search exactly what you need and you'll find it in your own stuff and the stuff that Soundly has to offer. This is a little look at what it looks like. Pretty nice. I like it. And these are the tiers basically. So you get Soundly free library for free, unlimited downloads. You can still use it as a standalone library organizer if you want, and then $14.99 a month. You can get all the Soundly features, full Soundly Pro, all this stuff. I think you also get a 1 month free trial if you know on their website somewhere. Definitely would recommend. And yeah, to go back to sales, around twice a year, libraries and plugins go on sale, normally around the summer and the winter. Some examples of stuff that go online is like most of the A sound effect library, like on their website, nearly all of it is on sale. When this stuff rolls around, Boom libraries, they're like one of the few times you can get them cheap. Boom also do some free libraries that you can pick up, like the big one is like the flamethrower stuff and a couple other things. But yeah, I picked up a Boom library this year when it was on sale. Definitely worth it, but only on sale. Isotope, as I said, always on sale. Sound Toys, sale. Fab Filter, when they go on sale, they don't go on sale for much. Okay, it's like 15% or something, but like every little helps. If you feel like it is the time to upgrade to a nice shiny reverb or EQ or something, then I would probably just wait just to save that little bit of money. And Kilo Hearts, like their phase plant and stuff like that, that goes on sale from time to time as well. To go back to this very briefly, I would say like at some point you will want to upgrade or you want the nice shiny thing, but it's important to bear in mind, like, one, if you can afford it at the time, and two, are you going to see returns on it right now? So if you are thinking about getting a plugin, but you have no use for it on a project or a personal thing that you're working on, then don't get it. If you're like working on a project that you think could massively benefit from it and it's on sale and this, that, the other, then get it, because then you instantly see like a return on your investment. And I think that's the best way to think about stuff like this, is just investment. Like every sound library, every plugin is all an investment towards your own personal business, right? So think about what you want and plan accordingly. Yeah, engines and middleware. So I briefly wanted to touch on the fact that a lot of game audio, like sound design positions, also expect some sort of implementation experience. All of the resources you need are out there, and they're free to try out and use. So the main engines are Unreal Engine and Unity, middleware, FMod and Wise. All of them are free to download, all of them, and try out. Wise is a really cool Wise 101 course where you can go through and you put sounds into a project and you get to learn how it works in the pipeline and stuff. Fmod has a Celeste project that you can go and dig around in and find out how that works. Yeah, I included a bunch of, I spelled Alessandro's name wrong, I'm so sorry, but Alessandro Fama, Sergio Ronchetti, Scott Game Sounds and Cujo Sounds, they all do really great stuff to do with middleware. Alessandro does like loads of stuff with Wise, Fmod, Unity, Unreal. Sergio is like mainly Fmod, I believe. Scott Game Sounds, he does a couple of things. I think he's like not as active now, but I think all of his old stuff is still quite relevant. And Cujo Sounds, who mainly does like Wise. Useful resources. So I thought like just at the end of this, I would provide some like cool stuff that you can go and like dig around more. And the big one is the audio resources spreadsheet by Presley Hines, and I want to include the link in the chat if I can. I can't. Oh well. Maybe I will after. Yeah, the free audio resources spreadsheet is really good. Very cool place to like find more stuff that you can just download and use immediately without spending any money. Airwiggles, obviously, incredible platform. They always have like loads of events, libraries, crowdsourcing stuff. Like, it's a really cool community you can join in, be a part of, learn more about game audio. Game audio learning, which includes like the game audio roadmap, where you can go and again find loads of resources about sound design. Real Talk by Kevin Regami from Power Up Audio. He does reviews, loads of demo reels and websites for people looking to get into the industry. Super useful. You can check out all of his old past videos. I think he's on a break right now, but definitely worth watching his old stuff and tuning in when he comes back. YouTube channels that have helped me in the past: Akash the Car, obviously, Marshall McGee, Aftertouch Audio, Game Audio Analysis, and Negativist are all cool people you should definitely check out. To summarize, All you need to really get started is a computer, a DAW, headphones, and a decent sound library. Whatever combination of that's good for you, run with it. Like I said, you can pick up a computer for like £500, which is way cheaper than a Mac. And Reaper, $60 to get started. Headphones you can pay, like these are 120, but all in all, you can get started for like under £1,000, which I think is if you already have a computer, it's even less, you know. And then Soundly, obviously, if you just want to hit the ground running, my recommendations. Pick the best time to upgrade if you feel you need it. So if you're working on something and you feel like you need these wind samples, then is the time to buy them, because you're getting money coming in, you're seeing return on the investment. It all adds up. Wait for the sales to make the most of your money, and there are tons and tons and tons of free resources out there, because the game audio community is incredible. Being a part of it has been really fun personally, and yeah, there's loads out there for you to help you on your journey. Finally, any questions? I feel like I just about made it. Speedrunning. I don't hear you if you're talking. Is that on me?
You don't hear me because I was muted on myself. I was saying, no, we have narrowly made it with 58 minutes into the live stream. So definitely squeezing it into the hour there. But as I say, time. What is time? Who is time? Huh? Where is he? Come say something. No, but that was a great talk, and I didn't want to sort of, I don't know, jump in and be like, stop now, because there's some really amazing information in there, just really well researched, really well presented, and just a lot of new stuff that I'd never heard of. I've got a tab open staring at isotopes right now, because you mentioned how good it is at removing mouth clicks and things like that, which is something that I desperately need to do. So I'll keep my eyes open to see if they've got anything on a good sale. Which you made it sound like they almost always do. So
yeah, they do.
I will keep an eye on that. But no, that was really great stuff. Thank you so much for sort of really hammering home just all of those experiences, all of those different resources. Just absolutely name dropping this hardware and software that's super comprehensive, and I think there's going to be, I think even the most knowledgeable sound designers may learn something today. They may have. You may have mentioned something that wasn't on their radar, which I think is super cool. How are you for time? Do you need to be anywhere? Do you want to shut down shop, or do you sort of have the patience to take some questions?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I can take questions.
You're okay. Wonderful stuff. All right. Well, I don't want to rush into anything, but first of all, thank you, audiences, for your patience. Thanks for your chit chat throughout the whole thing. I'm just quietly in the corner, loving Reaper, sort of screaming out Reaper for life, because I'm a Reaper user as well, although I use it at a far less professional capacity. I basically just turn on a mic and Reaper does the rest. If you have any questions in the audience, please do pop them in the chat now. And I think I'll give us sort of like 10-15 minutes at most, if we need it, and if we don't need it, then great, we can all pop off and have a nice tall glass of water. I do see one question in chat which I'm going to read out. In fact, I'm going to bring it up on the stage. Ulysses at Sea says, asks, do you have a favorite library or sound recordist that you've bought and keep going back to?
One of my favorite libraries is definitely this I think it's like a Gearbox library or something. I can't remember what it's called, but it's got like loads of different, it's like a big pack that I bought recently. It's got loads of different like weapon sounds, like armor and things, weapons and things, loads of different like gears itself, like mechanical movements and stuff. I think I should definitely shout out like Mattia Chalotto, I think his name is. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he's super cool. He makes like loads of very cool libraries at a very affordable price. I bought like his rock momentum library. I think he has like a polarity library as well. Really cool experimental sound effects and things. Yeah, probably him.
Nice. I haven't got another question in chat, but I've got sort of a good, I think a general question for you as well, which is, you've mentioned a lot of the technologies and a lot of the tools you've mentioned. Would they still be viable if I was working on a project that wasn't in games? Because I think that's the experience for a lot of freelancers in the games industry, is sometimes you can't just work in games. Sometimes you have to go into film and TV, or sometimes you might have to do a little bit of, for sound or lights, maybe you're going to go into a little bit of theater, tech, or, you're going to use the same skills that you use in games, but you're maybe going to have to lend your talents to just sort of another project just to sort of keep the bills paid, really. Have you done that yourself as a freelancer? Do you find that these same tools work for you in that instance, or do you find that you actually have to change quite a lot to make those projects work?
I personally haven't done a lot outside of games. I briefly did some podcast editing, which was not for me, but I think like a lot of the plugins and stuff, specifically like any DAW or whatever, it tends to be pretty flexible with what you can mold it to do. Especially Reaper, like you can just make endless amounts of templates to like set up for like dialogue or sound effects or music even. I think the only things that might not be as applicable are like some of the Reaper scripts that were specifically designed for like game audio workflow and stuff. But even then, it's not that many. So yeah, I think a lot of it is pretty applicable.
Nice. So yeah, just sort of on that subject of budget, like no one's going to need to go out and buy a different £500 PC and a different microphone and a different headset, but certainly on the software side of things, it sounds like things are quite specialized. Fair enough. And are you just to sort of plug a little bit about the work that you're doing? So, are you how to put it? You've obviously worked on a couple of projects already in the past. You mentioned Tale of Kenzera, Zau. I think you worked on Loddlenaut as well, which
I did, yeah.
I got a free code for because I cleaned the beach at Brighton last year. So I've got
Very
Loddlenaut
cool.
there. It's a very fun little game. Is there anything else that you're allowed to talk about that you're working on at the moment, or is there anything that you just want to plug to the audience? Like maybe you want to let them know about something that, is it your website, your portfolio? Is it a project that you're working on that you want people to know about? Just anything you kind of want to shout out, really.
I want to shout out my iGame Audio crew because I think a couple of them are here. So I work for like iGame Audio outsourcing company, which specializes in audio outsourcing for games. At the moment, they're working on a bunch of stuff. I think I'm doing Yes or Grace Snowfall, which is the Yes or Grace sequel, with them, and then a couple of other projects I'm not allowed to talk about yet. But yeah.
Nice. I realized I'm not trying to like pull NDAs out of you. I realized that was a very loaded question. But just an opportunity for you to kind of have a platform if there's anything you want to shout out. Cool stuff. I think I don't see any other questions in chat, and I am very good at talking for a very long time to pad out the time to give the audience plenty of time to type their questions into the comments. But at the same time, I really don't want to force people to just listen to a long, drawn-out improvised monologue if it's not really helpful to anyone. But we've gone over the hour, and we've had a chance just to answer those questions there. So I think that will absolutely do it for today. So just one sort of more time, a big thank you to you, the audience. Thank you for being here with us. Thanks for supporting Into Games by just being part of these events and having these conversations and kind of just, really getting stuck into what we're trying to do here. If you found this resource useful, you're able to rewatch this recording whenever you like. Just come back to this YouTube URL, bookmark it, favorite it, like it, whatever. If you're watching this as a recording for the first time, hello to you in the future. Have we solved audio yet? Is audio, is it solved forever now? I don't know. Who knows what the future has in store? But if you found this talk helpful in the future, that's great. Thank you so much. If you're not already a part of the Into Games community, we run a Discord server. It's got a huge number of people. It's got over 9,000 people in it. It's crazy. And a lot of those people are industry professionals or people looking to get into the industry and doing a lot of work to kind of get into that, including like game jams and sharing projects and giving each other career advice and things like that. So there's a link in the YouTube video if you're interested in joining the Into Games community. We do a bunch of other things as well. You can sign up to courses if you want. We're actually doing a course with the Greg Audio Wiggles' Greg Lester. as well, who I've spoken to previously on this channel for a different audio discipline deep dive. So another shout out there to Audio Wiggles. If you're really interested in one of those sprint courses, you go to intergames.courses. That's the website, intergames.courses. I've just made it scroll along the bottom there with my magic clicky. And I think that's about it. Just if you're interested, next week we'll be talking about production. We'll be doing a production talk. I'm going to pose a question to a producer in the games industry. I'm going to ask, what is agile? Who needs it? And when can I not use it, or something along those lines? So we're just going to talk everything about agile, but I think more importantly, like, why is agile not applicable for everything? Because everyone acts like it's the production Jesus, and maybe it's not. I think that's it for today. Thank you, Eli, for joining us today. Thank you for sharing all of that knowledge, for just being so generous with what you know and what you've done and your experiences. And for pointing out all your hardware, and even just that little tip of just getting one with the removable jack, because the number of times I have rolled back on this chair and my arm has coiled its way around the wire, and then the headphone causes a Rube Goldberg machine of destruction and stress. I might follow up on that piece of advice and get one with a removable jack.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me, and thank you for everyone for watching.
Nice. Thank you much, everyone. To all of you watching, have a lovely, it's Wednesday afternoon, or if you're in the future, just have a lovely whatever time period is coming up for you, and we'll end the stream there. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye. Bye.